years ago where I had gone to Italy, and I was trying to get into showbiz, and I was chosen by some Italian director with a whole bunch of women. And I thought I was getting into show business, but I wasn't. I was a grape stomper.
Have you ever wondered how one simple choice in the early days of TV changed everything? In 1951, I Love Lucy became the show that revolutionized television forever. But behind its success, there was a hidden prop that almost didn't make it on the show. Back in 1951, I Love Lucy wasn't just another sitcom. It was a game changer for television. But what if I told you there was one hidden prop on the set that made all the difference? It wasn't the actors or the jokes or even the great writing. It was a piece of equipment that almost didn't make it on the show, and yet it turned TV into a multi-billion-dollar industry. At the time, nobody thought it was a good idea. The network executives were skeptical, and the sponsors thought it was a crazy move. This single prop, however, forever changed the way television was made and how we watched it. It wasn't just about the show itself, but the behind-the-scenes decisions that set the stage for the future of the entire industry. Imagine, if you will, how the world of television looked before I Love Lucy hit the airwaves. Live broadcasts, poor quality recordings, and no reruns. Sounds pretty different from today, doesn't it? In fact, the decisions made during the show's production set the stage for everything we take for granted in TV today. Let's go into how this one prop and the vision behind it. The three-camera system was a revolutionary idea that changed the way sitcoms were made in a big way. 3 cameras were used at the same time to record a picture from 3 different points of view: a wide view, a medium view, and a close-up view. This way, the team could get all the shots they needed without stopping the performers, which made the show feel more natural and smooth. The idea came from Al Simon, who was an associate director on I Love Lucy, and Carl Frey, who was the cinematographer. They knew that traditional filming methods, which required multiple takes to get different views, took too much time and made it harder for the actors to do their jobs. By putting together all 3 shots at once, they let the players play their parts more naturally and continuously, like in a live theater performance. This method changed everything, not just how things worked. The 3-camera setup gave the show a level of closeness and immediacy that had never been seen on TV before. It also sped up and improved the recording process. But when the idea was first brought to CBS, it was met with skepticism. The network officials weren't sure if they should spend money on such an expensive and complicated system. At that time, TV shows were recorded with a single camera, which was much cheaper. As part of the 3-camera setup, there were special tools for coordinating all the shots at once, as well as 3 separate cameras, each with its own handler. CBS was worried that the costs would be higher than the benefits. The network wasn't sure if the set would be worth the money because the technology was still pretty new and hadn't been tested in a comedy setting. They were afraid that having to deal with 3 cameras would slow down production and make it harder to run the show. It wasn't easy to convince Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, though. They already showed how much they cared about the show by starting Desilu Productions and risking their own money. They worked hard to get I Love Lucy to air against CBS's objections because they knew that the 3-camera setup could change television. Lucille and Desi saw that the technology could be useful for the business as a whole, not just for their program. When the 3-camera setup was used, it changed the way movies were made right away. One of the biggest perks was how quickly scenes could be shot. A show would usually need more than one take from different angles, and each one would need a different setup. With 3 cameras set up, all the pictures were taken at once, which cut the time needed to record a scene by a huge amount. In reality, the time between scenes was cut down to about 90 seconds. This helped the cast and crew stay on schedule and made the shooting process go more smoothly. Because the 3-camera setup worked so well, the performers could do their jobs without being interrupted, which was a big plus. The actors didn't have to stop and start setting up different shots all the time, so they were able to keep the flow of their acts and capture the natural spirit of the moment. The 3 cameras changed everything for Lucille Ball in particular. The success of the show was much influenced by her physical comedy and facial emotions, hence this unique filming method let her skills appear. Early shows would have the actors change their acts according on where the cameras were, generally taking several takes to acquire the correct shot. Because there were 3 cameras, the whole scene could be captured in one shot, making sure that Lucille's facial emotions and physical humor were seen from all sides. The setup also let the actors focus on their roles instead of changing all the time to fit the camera. Without being interrupted, it was easier for the players to stay in character and do their best work. Having 3 cameras also cut down on the number of takes needed, which saved time and money. The players were given room to grow as performers, which made the play go more quickly and better. In addition, the 3-camera setup helped to get people more emotionally involved. By seeing how the characters reacted from different points of view, viewers could better connect with the players on an emotional level. Close-ups in particular let viewers see the small changes and feelings on actors' faces, which added to the complexity of the performances. Now, let's dive into the one prop that changed the way we watch TV forever, a hidden gem on the set of I Love Lucy that almost didn't make it on air, but ended up revolutionizing television production. One of the novel things that made I Love Lucy stand out was that it used 35mm film instead of the usual kinescope. Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball's husband and co-star, pushed on this, even though it would cost more to make. When kinescope was used to shoot shows off of a TV screen, the images were fuzzy and not very good. Desi knew that 35mm film, which made pictures that would last longer and look better, would be useful in the long run. Keeping the show's legacy alive relied on this choice a lot. Unlike kinescope, 35mm film could be stored for a long time. This meant that I Love Lucy could stay in great shape. At the time, this made repeat and syndication possible, which had never been done before. It made the shows last longer and look better on TV because they were like movies. This was especially important because the show could make money even after it ended, because it would be bought to air again in the future. Still, TV changed permanently, and not just in terms of the level of the movies. I Love Lucy was also one of the first shows to be sold for broadcast. Usually shows didn't air again at that time, but Lucille and Desi saw an opportunity to make money by airing old episodes that were past their due dates. When these clips brought in millions of dollars for the show, the decision to use 35mm film paid off and changed the TV business for good. It led to a new way of doing things where shows could make money after their first presentations. The three-headed monster was another creative idea that I Love Lucy used to make this possible. By letting editors see video from all 3 cameras at once, this editing tool sped up the process. Instead of going through video from one camera at a time, editors could look at the wide, medium, and close-up shots all at once. This saved time and made the show run through more quickly and easily. It also made edits easier. Putting I Love Lucy on film in front of a live crowd was another new idea. At that time, most TV shows were made without an audience, but Desi and Lucille wanted to make their show feel like a real live show. This gave the show realism and let the performers change their timing based on how the crowd responded. The audience's laughter at the beginning of the lecture helped connect it to people watching at home. The show was also more exciting when it was filmed in front of a live audience. The artists could change how they talk based on how excited the crowd is to make the jokes more funny. This made the show feel more like a live stage show than just a TV show. It became a trademark of sitcoms for the audience to laugh, which brought the actors and fans closer together. These decisions set the stage for how comedies would be made in the future. For decades, performances were shaped by standards like using 3 cameras, 35mm film, and filming in front of a live crowd. These techniques are still used in modern comedies like Friends and The Big Bang Theory to connect with their fans in the same way. I Love Lucy wasn't just new in terms of technology. It was also new in terms of how all of these new technologies work together to make something that had never been seen before. Lucille and Desi were able to change TV output for good by making decisions that were questionable from a technical point of view. Their choices paved the way for the TV business we have now. Now that we've seen how these technical choices revolutionized TV, let's look into how they shaped the lasting legacy of I Love Lucy, from its massive success to the way it paved the way for modern television. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz weren't just talented actors, they were also savvy business people who transformed the television landscape. In 1950, they took a major risk by starting their own production company, Desilu Productions, which would forever change the way TV shows were made and distributed. When Lucille and Desi started Desilu Productions, it was groundbreaking. Most actors back in the day didn't have control over their shows. Typically, TV networks owned the rights to the shows and actors were just employees. But Lucille and Desi had a different vision. They decided to take ownership of I Love Lucy themselves. To make this work, they took a pay cut, reducing their weekly salary from $5,000 to just $4,000. It was a gamble that could have easily backfired, but instead, it paid off big time. When I Love Lucy became a hit, their decision to own the show gave them more than just fame. It turned them into TV moguls. The show's success led to Desilu Productions growing rapidly, making it one of Hollywood's most powerful production companies. They didn't just stop with I Love Lucy. They used the success from the show to acquire other properties, including RKO Studios in 1957. That deal cost them $6 million, but it gave them control over one of the biggest film studios in Hollywood. Desilu wasn't just about television anymore. They were now a major player in the film industry too. Desilu didn't just produce I Love Lucy. The company went on to produce some of the most iconic TV shows of all time, including Star Trek and Mission Impossible. These shows became cultural landmarks just like I Love Lucy. The success of these shows proved that Desilu was more than just a one-hit wonder. Their business acumen turned Desilu Productions into a household name. One of the biggest ways Desilu transformed the TV industry was with the concept of reruns. Before I Love Lucy, no one really thought about TV shows being shown over and over again. Reruns weren't a big deal in the industry. But Lucille and Desi changed that when they decided to make I Love Lucy available for syndication after it aired. It was risky at first, but it turned out to be a genius move. By selling reruns of I Love Lucy, they created a whole new revenue stream for television shows. For the first time, a TV show could make money long after its initial airing. This was the beginning of what we now know as syndication, where old TV shows are sold to networks and local stations to air again and again. I Love Lucy was the first show to prove that reruns could be a huge moneymaker, and soon, other shows followed suit. Networks realized they could earn even more money by airing reruns, leading to a massive change in how TV shows were produced and marketed. Desilu's influence on the TV industry didn't end with reruns. They also changed the way shows were made. Desilu Productions pioneered the use of the 3-camera setup for sitcoms, a system that allowed for multiple angles of action to be filmed simultaneously. This method saved time, made filming faster, and kept the actors performing uninterrupted. The 3-camera setup became the standard for sitcoms, influencing shows like Friends, The Dick Van Dyke Show, and many others. In addition to the 3-camera setup, Desilu Productions also played a role in pushing the TV industry to embrace high-quality film. Instead of using cheaper and lower-quality options, Desilu chose to shoot I Love Lucy on 35mm film, which offered clearer pictures and better sound. This decision meant that I Love Lucy could be preserved for future generations, making it more likely to be remembered as a classic. The quality of the 35mm film also made reruns look even better over the years, ensuring the show would continue to earn money from syndication for decades to come. At the time, this was a massive investment for Desilu, but it turned out to be a crucial step in the show's long-lasting success. As the show's popularity continued to grow, so did the syndication revenue. The show's timeless appeal, thanks to the sharp picture quality and the memorable performances, meant that I Love Lucy could be sold to networks and stations for years, creating a massive financial legacy. In the 1960s, I Love Lucy was already making millions from reruns. By 1967, CBS was paying Desilu $100,000 for each episode of I Love Lucy to air in syndication, even though the episodes had only cost $39,000 to make in the beginning. It was proof that TV shows could continue to earn money long after they had finished airing. This idea became the model for future TV shows. The success of I Love Lucy and Desilu Productions changed the entire television industry. Desilu Productions became a powerhouse, and Lucille Ball made history as one of the first women to own and run such a massive company in Hollywood. The impact of I Love Lucy didn't just stop at its original airings. It built an entire new revenue stream for the entire industry, transforming TV into a billion-dollar business. Through their innovative business choices, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz didn't just create a hit show. They changed the rules of television. They proved that ownership, creative freedom, and innovation could lead to long-term success. And that lesson continues to shape the television industry today. Next, let's take a closer look at how I Love Lucy changed not just television but also the lives of the people involved, as we dive into how the series revolutionized comedy and social norms. When I Love Lucy was first introduced, not everyone was on board with the idea of revolutionizing the television industry. The three-camera setup, which became a hallmark of the show, faced initial resistance from both studios and the public. At the time, television production was a much simpler affair, and many were skeptical that this new technique would work, let alone change the future of TV. One of the major obstacles was the cost. The idea of using three cameras simultaneously seemed expensive and unnecessary, with critics questioning whether it would add anything substantial to the production. Some saw it as an untested gamble, but Desi Arnaz, ever the visionary, was determined to make it work. He saw television not just as a way to entertain, but as a chance to redefine how the medium could be used. He and Lucille Ball knew that, in order to succeed, they would need to take risks that would eventually pay off. CBS executives were also concerned about their on-screen partnership. Lucille and Desi were a real-life married couple, and some network bosses were unsure about whether this would resonate with audiences. There was also concern about the multicultural pairing of an American redhead and a Cuban husband. Many in the mid-20th century weren't ready to embrace this dynamic. Even the most basic industry norms, gender roles, family dynamics, and racial expectations were being challenged. But Lucille and Desi pushed ahead. The three-camera setup was the turning point. This idea, pioneered by Carl Frey and Al Simon, allowed the crew to capture wide, medium, and close-up shots simultaneously. This method drastically reduced production time, allowing scenes to be set up in just 90 seconds. It gave the actors more freedom to perform without interruptions, capturing the energy and emotions of their performances with more fluidity and depth than ever before. Despite the financial gamble, the decision to use 35mm film rather than the cheaper kinescope also turned out to be a game-changer. While kinescope footage had poor quality, 35mm film created sharp, high-quality images that would last for years. This ensured the show's longevity, and the episodes could be syndicated and shown again in high quality for years to come, creating a whole new revenue stream for TV shows. In addition to these technical innovations, the decision to film in front of a live studio audience added to the show's authenticity. This was a major gamble, but it allowed the actors to play off the crowd's energy, adjusting their timing and delivery in real time. The audience's laughter was integral to the show's appeal, making viewers at home feel more connected to the comedy. And with that, it's clear that I Love Lucy didn't just change the way we view TV shows. It paved the way for a new era of television, from production to business strategy and creative control. As we move into the next section, we'll explore the long-lasting legacy of I Love Lucy and its impact on the industry, continuing to influence TV for generations to come. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated and click on the next video popping up on your screen. See you next time.